Her hands were shaking when I pulled over. That is the first thing I noticed. Not the car with the hood open like a broken jaw. Not the hazard lights flashing red against the empty midnight road. Just her hands, trembling as she wrapped her arms around herself, sitting on the gravel like she had been waiting there forever. My name is Marcus. I am 47 years old. I work in a warehouse about 40 minutes from my mom's house. I have been there 12 years. My daughter, Lily, is 9. She lives with her mom most of the time since we split up 2 years ago. I see her every other weekend and some holidays. It is not perfect, but we make it work. Most nights I come home to a quiet apartment, heat up something from the freezer, watch whatever is on TV, and fall asleep on the couch. I stopped expecting surprises a long time ago, but that night I got one. I was driving to my mom's house because it was her birthday, and I was late, like always. The road out there has no streetlights, just long dark stretches, and the sound of tires on asphalt. When I saw the blinking hazards up ahead, my first thought was to keep going. It was late. Someone else would stop. A tow truck would come. That was not my problem. Then I saw her sitting on the side of the road instead of in the car. Head down, shoulders tight, those shaking hands. I slowed down before I could talk myself out of it. When I stepped out of my car and walked closer, she lifted her head. For a second, my heart just stopped. "Marcus?" she said, her voice small and rough. "Is that really you?" Jessica. I had not seen her in 19 years, not since high school ended, and she moved away with her family. She used to live next door to my mom. We were kids together. We rode bikes down every street in that town. We climbed the big oak tree in my mother's front yard and sat on the branches for hours, talking about nothing and everything. She had a laugh that made other people start laughing too. She used to say she would never be scared of anything, that she would travel the world and never let anyone hold her back. Now she looked scared. For a moment I could not say anything. I just took her in. Her hair was longer now, pulled back but falling loose around her face. Her features had changed, grown into angles that came with age, but her eyes were the same. The same eyes that used to dare me to race her to the end of the block. "Jessica," I finally said, "what happened? Are you okay?" She stood up slowly and brushed gravel and dirt off her jeans. "My car just died," she said, "right here. I tried calling for a tow truck, but nobody is picking up this late." She looked away toward the dark fields. I did not want to call him. She did not say who him was. She did not have to. The way she said it told me enough. "I can give you a ride," I said. "Where do you need to go?" Quote. She bit her lip and stared down at her shoes. "I do not want to go home tonight," she said. "Not yet." Then she looked straight at me and there was something in her face that made my chest feel tight. "Can I go to your place?" she asked. "Just for tonight. I just need somewhere quiet." I should have asked more questions. Why she did not feel safe going home, why her hands were shaking like that, but I did not. I just nodded. "Yeah," I said. "Of course." I opened the passenger door and waited while she grabbed her purse from the dead car. She slid into my seat and pulled her jacket tighter around herself, even though the night was not that cold. I got back behind the wheel, checked the mirror one more time, and pulled onto the road. For a while, we drove in silence. "I cannot believe it is you," she said at last, so soft I almost missed it. "Of all the people who could have stopped." "I cannot believe you are back," I said. "When did you move home?" Quote. "About 6 months ago. My mom needed help after her surgery, so I came back with my son." She looked out the window at the empty streets. "I thought coming back here would feel like coming home. It just feels complicated." I wanted to ask what complicated meant. I could hear something heavy behind that word. But the way her voice sounded made me let it go. We drove past our old high school, past the corner store where we used to buy candy with spare coins. The town looked the same, but being in the car with her made it feel like a memory I had stepped back into by mistake. When we reached my apartment building, she did not move right away. She just sat there, staring at the entrance like she was trying to decide if this was a good idea. "You do not have to stay if you do not want to," I said. "I can drive you anywhere you need to go." She shook her head. "No," she said. "I want to stay." I have not felt safe in a long time. It is strange to feel it now. Inside, I suddenly saw my place through her eyes. Small living room, old couch, a kitchen that barely fit one person. Shoes by the door, a few toys Lily left months ago when she visited. It was clean enough, but it was not impressive. It was just my life. She did not seem to mind. She sat on the couch and pulled her knees up, hugging them to her chest. "Do you want some tea?" I asked. "I think I have peppermint." "That sounds perfect," she said. I went to the kitchen, set water to boil, and dug 2 clean mugs out of the cabinet. On my way back, I grabbed a spare sweater from the closet and handed it to her. She pulled it on without a word and wrapped it tight around her shoulders like she was trying to disappear inside it. When I gave her the mug, she held it with both hands like it was something precious. The steam rose between us. "Thank you," she said, "for stopping, for bringing me here, for not asking 1,000 questions." "You can tell me when you are ready," I said, "or not at all. Either way is okay." She looked at me, really looked, and something in her face softened. "You look the same," she said, "older, maybe more tired, but still you." She gave a small smile. "I am glad it was you who stopped." We sat there for a long time without saying much. It was not the awkward quiet you get with strangers. It was the old, comfortable silence that only exists with someone who knew you before life got messy. Every now and then she would take a slow sip of tea. Her shoulders dropped a little more each time. "I have not felt this calm in years," she said at last. "It is like everything that has been crushing me just stepped away for a minute." I heard the weight in her words. I still did not push. I just sat with her in that calm. Sometime after 2 in the morning, her head tipped back and her eyes closed. Her breathing slowed, deeper and steady. Careful not to wake her, I got up, grabbed a blanket and laid it over her. She muttered something I could not understand and curled into the couch cushion. I stood there in the doorway, watching her sleep in my sweater, under my blanket, in my small, quiet apartment. 19 years of no contact, of separate lives, and somehow we were here again. One night on a dark road had turned the clock back and forward at the same time. When she woke up, light was just starting to creep through the blinds. She blinked, looking confused for a second, then saw me sitting in the chair across from her. "I am sorry," she said, sitting up fast. "I did not mean to fall asleep." "Do not apologize," I said. "You needed rest." She held the blanket closer. "I should probably go home," she said. "My son will be wondering where I am." "I can drive you," I said. She nodded, then hesitated. "Marcus, when we get there, my son might not be very friendly. He has been through a lot. He does not trust people easily anymore." "That is okay," I said. "I understand." The house next to my mom's looked almost exactly the same as it did when we were teenagers. White paint, a little more peeled now near the roof. The front garden her mom used to keep perfect. I pulled into the driveway and turned off the engine. Before Jessica could open her door, a boy came running out. Tall for his age, dark hair like hers, eyes that looked too old for his face. "Mom," he said, rushing to her side as she stepped out. "Where were you? You did not answer your phone." Grandma was freaking out. "I am sorry, sweetheart," she said. "My car broke down and my phone died. This is Marcus. He helped me." The boy, Ethan, turned to look at me. His whole body went stiff. "Who is he?" he demanded. "I told you," Jessica said. "He helped me when my car stopped. He gave me a place to stay until morning." "You stayed at his house?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "You do not even know him." "Actually, I do," she said. "We grew up together. He used to live right there." She pointed at my mom's house next door. It did not seem to calm him. He kept staring at me, like I was one more bad thing that might happen to them. Before any of us could say anything else, a truck horn blared from down the street. A pickup rolled to a stop at the curb, and a man leaned out of the window, glaring. "Jessica!" he shouted. "We need to talk, now!" Jessica froze. Ethan stepped in front of her without even thinking. "Go away, Dad," Ethan called. So that was him, the ex. He got out of the truck and walked toward us. He looked about my age, maybe a little younger, clean cut, in a nice jacket, but his face was hard and tight with anger. "Where were you all night?" he snapped. Your mom called me at 3 in the morning saying you were not home. My car broke down, Jessica said. Her voice was steady, but I heard the shake under it. I stayed with a friend. Quote, his eyes flicked to me, cold. A friend, he said. You do not have friends here. You just moved back. Marcus is an old friend from high school, she said. He looked me up and down like he was sizing me up. Then he looked back at her. This is exactly the kind of thing you pull, he said. Disappearing, making everyone worry, being irresponsible. I was stranded, she said. I was not being irresponsible. You could have called me, he said. I did not want to, she answered. The silence that followed was sharp. Ethan's fists were clenched at his sides. Jessica's hands were shaking again. I wanted to step in. I wanted to tell him to back off. But it was not my battle to fight. Not yet. This is not over, he finally said. We are going to talk about this later. He shot me one last cold look, then turned and climbed back into his truck and drove off. I should go inside, Jessica said quietly. Thank you again, Marcus, for everything. She touched my arm for a second. Just a quick, light touch, but I felt it all the way through me. Then she and Ethan went inside, and the door closed behind them. I sat in my car for a minute, trying to catch up with everything that just happened. Then I drove the few feet over to my mom's driveway, cut the engine, and went in. Mom was in the kitchen making coffee. She took one look at my face and nodded like she already knew. You saw her, she said. How did you know? I asked. Because you have the same look you used to have when you were kids, and she came over, Mom said. Like the whole world just got a little brighter. She set a mug in front of me and poured. She moved back about 6 months ago, Mom went on. Divorce. Bad one, from what I hear. Her mom does not say much, but I can tell it has been rough. She was stranded last night, I said. I gave her a ride, met her son. Met her ex. Mom shook her head. That boy is trying so hard to protect his mother, she said. Breaks my heart. My phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. This is Jessica. I got your number from your mom. Thank you for everything last night. For stopping. For listening. For not judging. I stared at the message for a second, then typed back. Anytime. I mean that. The dots appeared like she was typing, then stopped, then started again. He is so angry. Ethan is upset with me. I do not know how to fix any of this. I feel like I am drowning and I cannot find the surface. I swallowed hard. You are not drowning, I wrote back. You are swimming. And you do not have to swim alone. I am here if you need anything. Anytime. Her reply came fast. That is what scares me the most. How easy it is to believe you. I sat there with the phone in my hand and realized that one night on a dark road had just changed everything I thought I knew about my life. For the next few days, I could not get her out of my head. I kept seeing her the way she had looked on the side of the road, hugging herself in the dark. I kept seeing the way her hands shook when her ex pulled up in that truck. I went to work, moved boxes around the warehouse, answered dumb questions from my supervisor, but my mind stayed on Jessica. One afternoon, my phone buzzed while I was loading a pallet. I am taking Ethan to the library today, her text said. If you are around, you do not have to avoid us. I stared at the screen. I had not even realized that was what I was doing, but she was right. I was keeping my distance because everything felt so complicated. What time? I typed. 3. I got to the library 15 minutes early. I walked through the quiet aisles until I saw them near the history shelves. Ethan spotted me first. His shoulders tensed right away. He did not say anything, but his eyes went sharp. Jessica was sitting on one of those hard wooden chairs, holding a book but not really reading it. When she noticed me, her face changed. The tightness around her mouth eased, and she let out a breath like she had been holding it all day. Hey, I said. Hey, she answered, standing up. I did not think you would actually come. Why not? I asked. She gave a small, tired smile. Because most people run when things get complicated, she said, and my life is very complicated right now. We sat at one of the long tables. Ethan stayed a few feet away, pretending to check out books but watching us from the corner of his eye. Jessica rested her hands on the table, fingers linked together. I noticed they were not shaking as much as before. He is trying, she said quietly, nodding toward Ethan. It has been just the two of us for a long time. He thinks he has to protect me from everything. Maybe he does, I said, but he does not have to protect you from me. Her eyes met mine. For a moment we just held each other's gaze like that, both of us remembering those days in the oak tree, those late summer nights when life felt simple. I do not know what I am doing, she whispered. I came back here thinking it would be easier, that being near my mom would help, but it is just hard in different ways. What made you leave after high school? I asked. You were just gone one day. My dad got a job in another state, she said. We moved fast. I did not get to say goodbye the way I wanted to. Then life just kept moving. College, marriage. Ethan. By the time I thought about coming back, it felt like too much time had passed. It is never too late, I said. She gave me a sad little smile. I used to think that, she said. Then I spent 8 years in a marriage where I was told I was always wrong, always making mistakes, always the problem. You hear that long enough, you start to believe it. Something hot rose in my chest. You are not the problem, I said. How do you know? She asked. You have not seen me in 19 years. Because I remember you, I said. You were brave and smart and kind. People do not change that much at the core. Her eyes filled with tears. She blinked fast, trying to keep them from falling. You do not know how much I needed to hear that, she said. Ethan walked over then. Mom, we should go soon, he said. Grandma wants us home for dinner. Jessica stood up. Before she left, she reached out and touched my hand. Just a quick brush of her fingers like she was not sure she was allowed. Can I see you again? She asked. Not like a date, just as a friend. I could really use a friend right now. Any time, I said. I mean it. 3 days later, I showed up at her door with a cookbook in my hand. I could have given it back at the farmer's market where she had lent it to me. I could have sent it through my mom. But I did not want to. I wanted to see her. Ethan opened the door. He looked me up and down, then stepped aside slowly. She is in the kitchen, he said. I followed the smell of coffee and cinnamon. Jessica stood at the sink washing dishes, wearing jeans and an old t-shirt with a small paint stain on the knee. Her hair was up in a messy bun. Sunlight from the window made her look softer, younger. When she heard me, she turned. The smile that spread over her face hit me right in the chest. You brought my book, she said, drying her hands. I was starting to think you stole it. I figured you might need it back, I said. I have had that book 10 years, she said. I have never needed it urgently. She laughed, and for a second she sounded like the girl in the oak tree again. But I am glad you came, she added. We stood there for a moment, neither of us sure what to say next. The kitchen felt warm and safe, something I had not felt in a long time. Marcus, she said finally, her voice quiet. I have been trying to figure out how to say this without sounding crazy. My stomach tightened. Say what? I asked. I keep telling myself to slow down, she said. To be careful, that I just got out of a bad marriage and I should not jump into anything. But every time you are around, I feel different, lighter, like maybe I am allowed to want something good again. I did not move. I did not trust myself to. What do you want? I asked. She let out a shaky breath. I do not know yet, she said, but I know it has been a long time since I felt safe enough to even ask myself that question. She stepped forward then, not breaking down, not crying, just leaning. She rested her forehead against my chest like she had been carrying weight for years and finally let someone help hold it. My arms went around her on instinct. I held her there, steady and careful. I could feel her heartbeat against my ribs. Slowly, I felt the tension leaving her shoulders. We stayed like that for a long time. It felt like if I moved, the moment would break. Then there was a sharp knock at the front door. Jessica tensed in my arms. I did not have to ask who it was. I already knew. I have to get it, she said. You do not have to do anything, I said. You can let him knock all day. I need to face him, she said. I cannot run forever. She pulled away and walked toward the front door. I followed, staying a few steps behind her. Her ex, Derek, stood on the porch, arms crossed, jaw tight. We need to talk, he snapped. Not today, Jessica said. Her voice was firm but low. I am busy. Yes, today, he said. You have been dodging my calls for weeks. This is about Ethan. This is about you dragging him through your drama again. I am not dragging him through anything, she said. I am trying to build a normal life. His eyes flicked past her and landed on me. They narrowed. This is about him, right? He said. You are already replacing me. You replaced yourself a long time ago, she said. And Marcus has nothing to do with that. I am Ethan's father, he snapped. I will always be part of your life. Being a father does not give you control over mine, she said. Something in me snapped then. She asked you to leave earlier, I said, stepping closer. You should listen. He turned his glare on me. Who are you? He asked. Her bodyguard? I am someone who actually cares about her, I said. That is more than I can say for you from what I have seen. His fists clenched. For a second, I thought he might hit me. My heart pounded, but I did not step back. Then Ethan appeared in the hallway behind us. Mom said go, Ethan said. His voice was flat, but there was steel in it. So go. Derek looked at his son. Something in his face shifted, like the anger could not quite cover the shame underneath. This is not over, he muttered. Yes, it is, Jessica said. He stared at her one last time, then turned and walked back to his truck. A moment later, the engine roared and he drove away. When the sound faded, the house went quiet. Jessica closed the door with shaking hands and leaned her back against it. Her whole body trembled. You were amazing, I said. I was terrified, she whispered. You did it anyway, I said. You did not back down. She looked at me with wet eyes. I do not think I could have done that alone, she said. Thank you. Ethan was still standing there, watching us. For the first time, he did not look angry. He just looked tired. Thank you, he said quietly, for standing up to him. Any time, I said. Jessica took a deep breath and turned to both of us. Stay for dinner, she said to me. If you want. Are you sure? I asked. I am sure, she said. I am tired of being scared in my own house. In that moment, standing there with her son between us and her ex finally gone, I realized something. This was not just about one night on a dark road anymore. This was about all the nights after, and all the choices we were going to make from here. Dinner that night felt like stepping into a life I did not know I wanted until I was sitting in the middle of it. Jessica made spaghetti, nothing fancy. Just pasta, jar sauce with some extra seasoning, garlic bread from the oven. Ethan set the table without being asked. I offered to help, and he handed me forks and plates like we were working in the same restaurant. We ate in the small dining room, all three of us. The overhead light buzzed softly. The TV in the living room played some old show on low volume. It was normal, quiet. But under that quiet, something was different. So, you work in a warehouse? Ethan asked suddenly, stabbing his spaghetti. Yeah, I said. We ship all kinds of stuff. Tools, furniture, random things people order online. Do you like it? He asked. I thought about it. No one ever really asked me that. It is not my dream job, I said, but it pays the bills. And I like some parts. I like the routine. I like knowing what I am doing. I like the guys I work with. He nodded, like he was storing that away, like he was trying to decide if I was someone he could trust. Jessica watched us with a soft smile, like seeing Ethan talk to someone who was not yelling at her or him was a new thing. After dinner, Ethan went upstairs to work on homework. Jessica and I stayed in the kitchen washing dishes. She washed. I dried. It felt strangely natural, like we had done this 100 times. My mom invited us over tomorrow night, I said, putting a plate in the cabinet. Lily will be there too. Jessica paused with her hands in the soapy water. Are you sure? She asked. That is a big step. I do not want to make things weird for your daughter. You will not, I said. She is curious. She knows I have been talking to someone. Talking? Jessica repeated with a small laugh. Okay, I said. Talking, helping, worrying about, thinking about. She knows I care about you, even if I did not say it like that. Jessica looked down, her lips pressing together like she was trying not to smile too much. "If you are sure," she said, "then yes, we will come." The next evening, I picked up Lily from her mom's place. She climbed into the back seat, backpack full of colored pencils and a sketchbook. "So this is the night," she said. "What night?" I asked. "The night I meet the lady from your phone," she said simply. I almost choked. "What does that mean?" I asked. "You smile when you get messages," she said. "You never used to do that." I did not have an answer for that, so I just drove. We pulled into my mom's driveway. Jessica's car was already next door. Mom had invited them over early to help with dinner, which really meant so I can quietly inspect this man who is circling my son again. Inside, the house smelled like roasted chicken and potatoes. Mom moved around the kitchen like a general in an apron. Jessica stood at the counter chopping carrots. Ethan leaned against the fridge, scrolling on his phone but paying attention to everything. "Hi," Jessica said when she saw us. She wiped her hands on a towel and bent down a little. "You must be Lily." Lily peeked at her from behind my arm. "Are you Jessica?" Lily asked. "Yes," Jessica said. "Your dad talks about you all the time." Lily squinted up at me. "He talks about you too," she told Jessica. "He smiles when he reads your messages." My face went hot. Jessica laughed, a real laugh. "Does he?" she asked, looking at me with a glint in her eye. "Traitor," I muttered to Lily, but I was smiling. Ethan stood in the doorway, hands shoved in his pockets. He looked nervous, more nervous than he did when his dad had shown up. Lily turned to him. "Do you want to see my drawings?" she asked. "I brought them." He hesitated for half a second, then shrugged. "Sure," he said. They disappeared into the living room. I heard Lily talking at full speed about a dragon she drew. Ethan did not say much, but he listened. That alone felt big. At dinner, we sat around the same table I had grown up at. My mom at one end, me at the other. Jessica and Lily on one side. Ethan on the other. It felt strange and right at the same time. Mom told stories like she always did. About the time Jessica and I tried to build a treehouse in the oak tree, and it collapsed 10 minutes after we climbed down. About the time we got lost in the woods behind the houses and came back covered in mud. "I forgot about that," Jessica said, laughing so hard she wiped tears from her eyes. "I thought your mom was going to ground us for the rest of our lives." "I was terrified," Mom said. "You were gone for 3 hours, but when you came back, you were holding hands, and I could not say anything but thank God." Ethan looked between us like he was seeing part of his mother's life he had never heard about. After dinner, we all went out to the back porch. The air was cool, and the sky was clear enough to see a bunch of stars. Lily sat between Jessica and me, pointing out shapes she thought looked like animals. Ethan sat next to my mom, listening while she talked about the garden she was planning. It felt like a family that had been there for years, not one that had just begun to pull itself together. When it was time to go, Ethan walked over to me while Jessica helped my mom with leftovers. "Thanks," he said quietly, "for tonight." "You are welcome," I said. "We can do this again." He nodded, then added, even softer, "You make my mom happy. I can see it." Quote. The lump in my throat was so thick I could barely speak. All I managed was, "That means more than you know." Later that night, after I dropped Lily off at her mom's place and went back to my apartment, my phone buzzed. "Tonight was perfect," Jessica's text said. Ethan actually smiled. I forgot what that looked like. "He is a good kid," I typed back. "You are a good mom." "I do not know what I am doing half the time," she replied. "Nobody does," I wrote. "But you are doing better than you think." There was a long pause. I watched the typing dots blink, disappear, then blink again. "I am scared," she wrote finally. "Scared this is too good. That it will fall apart, that I will mess it up. Scared I am not ready, even though every time I see you, I feel like I can breathe again." My fingers hovered over the screen for a long moment. I could feel my heart pounding. "I am not going anywhere," I wrote. "Not unless you ask me to. I am here. With you. In this." Her answer came slower this time. "Okay," she wrote. Then another message. That is what scares me and what makes me hopeful at the same time. 2 weeks passed in that strange, fragile new rhythm. I went to work, I saw Lily, I saw Jessica and Ethan. Sometimes they came to my mom's, sometimes I went to their house. We cooked dinners together, we helped Ethan with homework. We played board games that Lily always cheated at. We did normal things. But underneath all of that normal, something was building. One afternoon at the warehouse, I was standing in the aisle between shelves of boxed-up things, holding a clipboard, mind far from where my body was. I was thinking about the way Jessica looked when she laughed, the way she touched my arm when she wanted my attention, the way she looked at me across a room full of people, like I was the only one there. It hit me so hard I had to lean against the shelf for a second. I was in love with her. Not in the old high school crush way, not in the memory way. This was something built on long talks and scary days and small moments, on watching her fight for herself, on watching her hold her son together, on watching her soften when Lily wrapped her arms around her waist like she had always belonged there. That night, we ended up back at my mom's house. Thursday dinner had become a habit. Lily and Ethan chased each other in the backyard, trying to catch early fireflies. Mom was in the kitchen washing dishes. Jessica and I sat on the back steps. The sky was streaked orange and pink. The air smelled like cut grass. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Always," she said. "Do you ever think about the future?" I asked. "Not just tomorrow or next week, really think about it." She was quiet for a long moment. "I used to," she said. "Before everything fell apart, now I just focus on getting through the day." "What if you did not have to just get through it?" I asked. "What if you could actually look forward to it?" Quote. She turned her head to look at me. "What are you saying, Marcus?" she asked. I took a breath. My heart hammered against my ribs, but I did not look away. "I am saying that I spent the last 2 years moving through life like a ghost," I said. "Work, home, sleep, repeat. Then I saw you on that road, and everything changed. I started wanting things again. I started imagining something more than just getting by." "More?" she asked softly. "More nights like this," I said. "More dinners. More kids laughing in the yard. More mornings where you wake up and do not feel alone." Her eyes shone in the fading light. She looked scared and hopeful at the same time. "You do not have to answer," I said quickly. "I just needed you to know where my head is." She stared at the yard for a moment, watching Lily and Ethan run through the grass. Then she leaned a little closer, our shoulders touching. "I do think about the future sometimes," she said, "but it is the first time in a long time that my picture of it is not empty." She turned to face me fully, so close I could feel her breath. "And in that picture," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "you are there." My chest felt too tight for my lungs. "Jessica," I said. "I am not ready to say everything yet," she said. "Not out loud. I am still scared. I am still healing. But I want you to know this. I do not feel alone anymore. Not when you are around. Not when I think about what comes next." Lily's voice cut through the moment. "Dad," she yelled from the yard, "we saw a shooting star!" "Make a wish," I shouted back, still looking at Jessica. "I already did," she said quietly. My skin tingled. That night, after I dropped Lily off and drove home, Jessica texted me one more time. "I am not ready for big words yet," she wrote, "but I am ready to keep choosing this. Choosing you. One day at a time." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I typed back, the only thing that felt right. "I will be here for every day you choose." What I did not add was this. The next time we sat on that porch, under that same sky, I planned to tell her the truth. That I loved her, and I wanted a life with her for real. 2 weeks after that night on the porch, I knew I could not wait any longer to say it. The words sat in my chest all day at work. Every time I lifted a box or scanned a label, I felt them pressing harder. By the time my shift ended, my hands were shaking the same way hers had that night on the road. Thursday dinner at my mom's house had become our routine. I picked up Lily and we drove over together. She hummed some song in the back seat while I rehearsed the same 4 words in my head. When we got there, Jessica and Ethan were already in the kitchen helping my mom. Ethan and Lily took off for the backyard as soon as they could. Fireflies were everywhere now. Summer was coming in slow and warm. After dinner, Mom shooed the kids outside again and remembered some dishes she had to wash alone inside. That left Jessica and me on the back porch, just the two of us. The sky was turning deep blue. Crickets hummed in the grass. My heart thumped so hard, I thought it might shake the boards under us. "Jessica," I said. She turned her head toward me. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "You can ask me anything," she said. I took a breath and stepped off the ledge I had been standing on for weeks. "Do you see me in your future?" I asked. "For real, not just in your head when things feel calm, but in the hard days too?" Quote. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she smiled, but it was a nervous smile. Her fingers twisted together in her lap. "I do," she said. "That is what scares me and what keeps me going at the same time." I moved closer until our knees touched. "I need you to know something," I said. "No more halfway. No more guessing. I am in this. All the way. I am done pretending I am not." Her eyes searched my face. "Marcus," she whispered, "what are you trying to say?" I laughed once, low and nervous. "I am trying to say that I love you," I said. "Not just as an old friend or a safe place or a familiar face. I love you. I love the way you fight for Ethan. I love the way you laugh with my mom like you never left. I love the way you let yourself be scared and still keep going. I love you." The words hung in the air between us like they were made of glass. For a second, I thought I had pushed too hard. Her eyes filled fast, and she looked down at her hands. Then she reached out and took mine. "I was trying not to say it," she said. "I kept telling myself it was too soon, that I was too broken, that loving you would just make more trouble. But every time you show up for me, every time you show up for Ethan, every time you bring Lily over and let her sit in my kitchen and draw at my table, it gets harder to pretend." She lifted her eyes back to mine. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but she was smiling. "I love you too," she said. "I think I have loved you in some way since we were kids in that tree." I just forgot what that feeling was called until now. Something inside my chest loosened. I let out a breath I felt like I had been holding for 19 years. I leaned in, slow, giving her plenty of space to pull away. She did not. She met me halfway. The kiss was soft and sure and full of all the words we had been circling around for weeks. Her hands slid up to the back of my neck. Mine settled at her waist. A small voice from the yard cut through us. "Dad," Lily squealed. "Did you just kiss her?" Another voice laughed. "Told you they would," Ethan said. We broke apart, both laughing and wiping at our faces. "Were you two spying on us?" Jessica called. "Maybe," Lily yelled back. "A little." My mom appeared in the doorway with a dish towel in her hands and a smile on her face. "Well," she said. "About time." That night felt like a turning point. Not the end of anything, but the start of something real. The next few months moved both fast and slow. There were small fights about bedtimes and homework. There were court dates for final divorce papers. There were days when Jessica felt strong, and days when she felt like she was sliding backward. There were moments when Ethan shut down and would not talk to anyone, then later came to sit next to me on the couch without saying a word. Through all of it, we stayed. We kept showing up, we kept cooking dinners, we kept Thursday nights at my mom's. We made a new kind of normal. 3 months after we first said "I love you," I bought a ring. It was simple. A small stone, nothing flashy. I am a warehouse worker, not a banker. But it felt right, solid, honest. I knew exactly where I wanted to ask her. My mom's backyard. Under the old oak tree where we used to sit as kids and talk about leaving this town. The same tree that had watched all of this happen. On a warm Saturday evening, I asked Mom to keep dinner small. Just us. Me, Jessica, the kids, and her. She nodded like she knew exactly what I was planning. She probably did. After we ate, I asked everyone to come out back. Fireflies blinked in the grass. The sky was soft purple. The oak tree stood tall like it had been waiting for this moment longer than any of us. Jessica was looking up at the branches when I took her hands. Ethan and Lily stood a few feet away. My mom sat on a lawn chair, already holding a tissue to her eyes. "Do you remember sitting up there?" I asked, pointing at one of the thick branches. "Talking about how we were going to leave this town and never look back." She laughed through her nerves. "Yes," she said. "We thought we were too big for this place." "I used to think that," I said. "But now I think maybe we just had to leave and come back to understand what home really was." Her eyes narrowed like she was starting to catch up. "Marcus," she said. I took a breath, let go of her hands, and dropped to one knee on the grass. The ring felt heavy and right between my fingers. Her hands flew to her mouth. "Jessica," I said. "When I found you on that road, I thought fate was just playing some weird trick on me, bringing back a face from the past. But it was more than that. You did not just come back into my life, you brought life back into it." Her eyes spilled over. Tears ran down her face, but she did not look away. "You and Ethan and Lily and my mom," I said. "You feel like the family I did not know I could have. I want to spend the rest of my life showing you that you are not a problem to fix. You are a person to love." I opened the small box. "Will you marry me?" I asked. "Will you build this life with me for real?" She nodded before she could even form words. "Yes," she finally managed. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." I slid the ring on her finger. It looked right there, like it had been waiting for that hand all along. She pulled me up and kissed me. The kids cheered. My mom actually sobbed out loud. We kept the wedding small. Just family and a few friends in the same backyard, under the same oak tree. Jessica wore a simple white dress with her hair down. I wore the only suit I own. Lily stood next to Jessica, holding her bouquet. Ethan stood beside me, straight-backed, like he was guarding something important. When it was time for vows, Jessica went first. "I spent a long time thinking I had missed my chance at happiness," she said. "That I had messed up too many times, trusted the wrong person, stayed too long in the wrong life. Then you stopped on that road." Her voice shook, but she kept going. "You did not just give me a ride," she said. "You gave me a place to breathe. You let me rest. You believed me when I said I was drowning, and you did not try to fix me. You just stayed. I promised to stay with you too, to build a life that is honest and kind and worth the hard days it took to get here." Quote. I cleared my throat and read mine. "I used to think my life was done growing," I said. "That what I had was all there was going to be, a job, an apartment, every other weekend with my daughter. Then I saw you again, on that road at midnight, scared and shaking but still trying." I looked at her and at Ethan and at Lily. "You reminded me that it is never too late to start over," I said. "That family is something you can choose. I promise to show up, to listen, to stand between you and the storm when I can and sit with you in the rain when I cannot. I promise to love you, Jessica, every day, even on the days when you do not feel easy to love." We kissed. It felt like the world had been moving us to that moment for years. At the little reception in the yard, Ethan surprised everyone by standing up with a shaky paper in his hand. "I did not trust Marcus at first," he said. "I thought he would be like other adults who show up and leave." But he did not leave. He came to dinners. He helped with homework. He stood up to my dad when I could not. He made my mom laugh again. I had not seen her laugh like that in a long time. He looked at me. "Thank you," he said, "for loving my mom, for loving me too." I had to blink hard to keep my own eyes clear. Then Lily stood up. "I am happy," she said, "because I always wanted a big brother, and now I have one. And Jessica makes the best pancakes." Everyone laughed. Jessica wiped her eyes. My mom held her tissue like a flag. Later that night, after everyone had gone and the kids were asleep inside, Jessica and I sat on the porch steps, just like we had so many evenings before. The night was quiet. The stars were bright. The oak tree was a dark shape against the sky. "Do you ever think about that first night?" I asked. "By the car?" "All the time," she said. "I never told you this part." She looked down at her hands, twisting the ring on her finger. "I was planning to leave that night," she said. "I was going to pack up Ethan and drive until the tank ran out. I was going to disappear and start over somewhere new where no one knew us. I did not care where. I just could not stay here anymore." Quote. My stomach tightened. "What changed?" I asked. "You stopped," she said simply. "You stopped when you did not have to. You helped me, without asking what I could give you back." And I thought, maybe I do not have to run. Maybe I can stay and build something better right where everything fell apart. She leaned her head on my shoulder. I wrapped my arm around her. "I am glad your car broke down," I said. She laughed softly. "I am glad you were late to your mom's," she said. We sat there for a long time, watching the sky. The house behind us was full of the soft sounds of kids sleeping and my mom moving in the kitchen. The kind of sounds that mean you are not alone. I realized I felt something I had not felt in years. Peace. The kind that settles into your bones and whispers that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. "I love you," I said. "I love you too," she answered. At midnight, months after that first strange night on the road, I looked over at my wife, resting against me on the porch, and understood something. Love does not always show up when you are looking for it. Sometimes it shows up broken down on the side of a dark road. Sometimes it shows up in a shaking hand that just needs somewhere safe to land. You just have to be willing to stop.